Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Solo Spotlight. On today's episode, I sit down with singer-songwriter Eric Kane. Eric recently reintroduced himself after years performing as Cane Incognito, and he's been building a grassroots audience across Western Canada through small room shows and steady releases. His new single, Water My Soul, is out now on all streaming platforms. In this conversation, we cover why he changed the name, the personal events that shaped the new music, what he learned from taking the songs on the road, and how he's planning the next phase of his career. If you're here for Eric, welcome. Links to his music and upcoming dates are in the description. For more conversations with artists and builders, subscribe to Spare Bedroom Studios and turn on the notifications. If you find this useful, leave a comment and share it with someone who will get value from it. With all that out of the way, here's my conversation with Eric Kane. Welcome, everybody. Solo Spotlight, episode 53. I'm here with Eric Kane. This has been a long time coming. We've been in the works of getting this done for a while now. Thank you so much for joining me. Your single out now. You've been definitely the momentum of being on social media and gaining that traction, and you just got a lot of things going on. I can't wait to share that with everybody and let people break open the book a bit and hear your story.
Thank you for giving me the outlet. I'm excited to dive into it.
It's remarkable. But getting right into it, you were met with music at a very early age. Kind of talk to me about that.
Yeah, we were raised around a piano for the most part. Growing up at family gatherings, my papa, as we called him, my grandfather, my mother's father, was an incredible artist, an incredible, I believe, self-taught pianist. And every Christmas gathering, we'd all sit around and he'd play the piano, and just it was really, truly special, as well as clearly, influential on my music and how much it connected on a almost like a in the DNA almost, you know. And and then his son, actually, my Uncle Dale, played a lot of guitar around me growing up, and I just was always inspired by that as well. And the piano was one thing, but the guitar is what really kind of clicked in my mind and was like, I want to be able to play a guitar one day. And eventually, my sister actually got me a guitar for my Christmas at 16, and that's kind of when I dove into it for a few years. Opened the musical box of, okay, this is a lot harder than it than it looks or seems. But spent a couple years learning, for the most part, learning covers and just like trying to understand. I didn't take any lessons. My uncle showed me like 4 chords, and kind of that opened the gateway to, okay, this is the realm of music, and
right,
it's a lot of work.
and then you said that you started doing drums as well. Now it leads me to believe that was there any singing in the mix there, or was it a lot just more instrumental?
So going back to like the guitar time, I listened to a lot of music growing up. My older brother, he was the main character in my life of who I was really inspired to be, and just looked up to in a lot of ways. And anything he listened to, I listened to. And a lot of those artists had an incredible range of vocals, like a lot higher than where my natural voice kind of sits. As you can hear, it's pretty deep, and the lower register. And I just thought, all the years of trying to sing along with those artists, that I couldn't sing. I just don't have a voice, you know?
Right.
Then the years went by. I stopped playing guitar for many, many years, 5, 6, 7 years. I moved out of my the house I lived with my brother and my whole family out on an acreage west of Edmonton, about an hour. And at about 17, 18, I moved out of that acreage and into the house with my brother in the city. And he had, at that point...
You were just moving out west of...
From the acreage I grew up on. So I moved out when I was about 18 with my brother. And at that point, my brother had spent many years honing his musical abilities. And
Mhm.
he actually started drumming when he was in high school. My dad and mom got him drums, and then he started a band with his good friends, and they got to a point in Edmonton where they were kind of one of the bigger artists in Edmonton,
Okay.
and they had hired a drummer for many years. And at that point, I've been going to all of these band practices and like watching from this really timid, shy boy perspective, and just like always admiring and wishing I could do all of these things with the music, but I was just so closed off and just like always like, again, I was very, very shy. I think it was like high school when I went through my first like um, what do you call it, going through your
Puberty?
puberty. There you
Yeah.
go. I just like went from, not really ever running around being shy or emotions or anything, but it just like hit me like a wall of just like social anxiety and just all the emotions. I couldn't get the courage to get in front of people.
Right.
And so I just went to all these band practices, going fast forward now to living with my brother and watching this band kind of build and build in the local scene of Edmonton. They were getting all these bigger shows. And then finally, and throughout that whole process, my brother was always like, if you want to be a part of this, any position is yours. You want to sing with me, it's yours. We'll add another guitarist. You want to drum, we'll kick that guy out. Like,
Yeah.
but eventually, his name was Kyle. He actually didn't really say to kick that guy out part, but like
Yeah.
eventually Kyle ended up quitting. And my brother called me, and he calls me. I answer the phone. He goes, "Kyle just quit. This is a short conversation. Yes or no, do you want to drum in our band, No Heat Tomorrow?" And I'm like, I don't own drums. I don't know how to drums. And he's like, that wasn't the question.
Do you want to do
Do
it?
you want to do it?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes. Click. I'm like, oh shit. What did I just do?
Yeah.
Calls me back. He's like, we have a show in 3 months being offered to us. Hail the Villain. At the time, they're popping off across Canada, kind of a hard rock, kind of Billy Talent, kind of similar artist or band. And we had the band had the opportunity to open. He calls me back. February 11th, they're offering us the opening slot. Yes or no? That's 3 months away. And I'm like, well, firstly, I would hate to be the one that's kind of halting the momentum.
Yeah.
But I don't even have a drum set. I don't even know how to drum. And you guys are like a metal band. Like,
And how old were you at the time?
at this point, I was about 20, I
Okay.
think. Yeah, 20, 21.
Yeah. Just
And-
starting life.
Just really starting life. And again, he's like, that's not the question. Do you want to?
Yeah.
And I was like, yes. Hangs up the phone. Calls me back 5 minutes later. I'm like freaking out.
Yeah.
He goes, you're going to buy Kyle's drums. He's going to sell them to you for X amount. I'm like, they're like $10,000 drums. He's like, $2,500. You're buying those drums. And then we're going to start practicing tonight.
Mhm.
The show is in 3 months. And I was just like, oh my God. And I did it. I literally practiced. At the time, I was working in the trades as a steam fitter, pipe fitter, the Alberta dream. And I'd get home after a 10-hour shift and I'd drum for hours. And I did that for 3 months straight. And at that point, I'd never performed in front of anyone. I never played with anyone.
Right.
I literally was just so fresh and so new to anything musical other than loving music and watching it. That was the only thing I had, was my years of absorbing everyone's passion with music. Other than a few, campfire covers that I learned. Wouldn't really sing them, but... And then that was it. February 10th or 11th came along of... 2011, if that would have been. And I opened up for Hail the Villain behind the drums to a sold out pawn shop at the time in Edmonton on White Ave. I think it was 400 people, and the room was packed. I was having this this anxiety attack basically behind the curtain, as the whole room, which half at least were there, chanting Eric.
Yeah.
Eric, because all my friends and everyone were just like, as if you're getting on stage now. Like,
Yeah.
literally 3 months ago, you could not play the drums. How
Right.
does that make any sense? And they were chanting. I was having a meltdown and a breakdown, and my brother literally behind the curtains before they opened up grabbed me by the face, and he looked me in the eyes and said, "You were born for this." And that was it. He turned around, the curtain opened, and what was apparently one of the best shows No Heat Tomorrow had at that time, I drummed my little heart out, and it was the life-changing moment of acting on what you want
Yeah.
rather than what your fear is dictating, you know?
And it seemed like your brother was like very, no pun intended, instrumental in like almost when you had moments of uncertainty, he kind of not forced your hand, but kind of steered you in the right direction, or almost like knew that this was like you're gonna do this.
100%. He was why I admired him, and a lot of people did, was he went against the grain his whole life. He was one of the most talented humans I've ever met in so many ways, from skateboarding to snowboarding to just very athletic. He ended up having some brain injury at about 18, which put him in the direction of music focused, because he wasn't really allowed to do the action sports side of things with his head
Yeah,
injury.
with any like contact
Sports, exactly. So he really honed in on that music side, and then just watching me as his younger brother, like he believed in me more than I believed in me, or more than I allowed myself to act on, at least.
Right.
You know? Like, I just, again, going back to that social anxiety, and that I was just, I don't know, it was a weird few years of my life that I allowed fear and anxiety to rule out anything. I want to do this, but that fear and anxiety outweighs it. This is easier. I'm going that way. And he finally was just like, "No, man, like, you are so much more than this." And he really, really showed me that. And I'm tearing up.
It's interesting too, because it's one of those things where you now looking back, you knew that you kind of had to get out of your own way.
It was a daily thing that I struggled with.
Yeah.
And to go back into struggling with it, I used alcohol to get over that hump.
Yeah.
And for years, 10 years, that led up to, from 16 or 14 probably is when I actually started drinking, but
Right.
more from like a realization of like, oh, my social anxiety kind of leaves when I have 2-3 beer, you know? And
Yeah.
then it got to this
Escape from reality.
escape. It was in a full-on escape, which turned into, over 10 years, it becomes the addiction. And that you use that as a tool rather than just getting through it and understanding how your body and mind works. And but yeah, so that led to 5 years of performing from never performing to the first time I played on stage was a sold out show. Then the second show I ever played was it's called Boonstock.
Bonnie Doon or
Bonnieville.
yeah,
or,
Bonnieville.
Gibbons, Bonnieville area.
Yeah.
Right? Not
Yeah,
Bonnieville. Gibbons.
Yeah, Gibbons area.
So it's like an hour out of town. It was one of the biggest North American rock heavy metal festivals, and they played a couple years prior to me joining, and then that spring,
year.
summer, I was thrown into the mix and played the main stage right before like a perfect circle, and just like it was, jumping on a train that was moving full speed ahead, and I, from apparently like from instrument sides and like talent side of things, like people that watch me, they're like, you just learned 10 years of drumming in a year after like that first year. You're
Right.
like, so that really like opened my eyes to like, holy shit, like, pardon my language, but
No.
I am fully capable of doing, not just me, but like we as people, like we are able, and if you are willing to put the work in, we can do anything. And it's so cliche and like cheesy to say, but it's truly, it's true. It
Yeah.
is. And that, yeah.
I always tell people, especially people that can't take the first step, is like, you're only limited by your creativity. That's it. It's like you can literally accomplish anything. You just got to create. You just got to be creative enough to find the avenue and find out the right channels to do it.
And I mean, not even like to go with that. It's for myself is like having the courage to just start, even when you're
Then everything just
like
comes.
exactly like I don't own drums. I can't drum. That's not the question. Say yes and start, and then everything falls into place. And that was like within minutes. As soon as I said yes, here's your drums, this is the plan. And yeah, my brother was doing that, but that's just as easy as it is. As soon as you open that doorway, things will fall in when you put the work in or whatever, but it just starts dropping in place.
Now, was your motivation when you get thrown into this band, and like now there's like some expectations. Now, do you find a lot of those expectations were on like an idea of I can't disappoint like this band. I gotta step up to the plate because like A, I agreed to it, and B,
100%.
like there's something like lining on it, right? Like people are putting their faith in me to not.
There was a whole exactly the full band, my brother on top of that expectation, and that momentum was already there. So if I'm the reason it stops, like I shouldn't have said yes then, right? But then on top of that, like they had a pretty solidified fan base at that point as well. Like every show.
Yeah, you're like, I'm gonna fuck it up for them.
Yeah, like, I can't fuck this up.
Yeah, exactly.
And on top of it, it was the first time I was so. It really gave me purpose as well,
Yeah,
like,
it made you motivated to actually.
Yeah, and I just saw. I started seeing potential in myself as well, which was really just put a fire under my
behind.
under my behind.
Yeah.
To just start pursuing what you want to do in this life, whether you have fear telling you to go the other way or not. And yeah, it was a monumental era of my.
So then you go through that 5 years. Talk to me about then and then that kind of pivot or how that.
So yeah, it's quite the journey. The 5 years went from opening up for world-renowned acts like Vince Neil and Biff Naked. Like my second or third show was opening up for Biff Naked at the time. Like she's an incredible like Canadian icon, So just all of these amazing opportunities. 5 years into it, we had a lot of opportunity, and then a lot of how do you say, like we got a label offering, and that label basically was in the middle. That offering was in the middle of like the whole music industry changing as a whole. Spotify was being introduced, Instagram, social media, all these platforms, everything as we knew it was changing, and a lot of labels were going under because like the new way was winning, and people were losing money and blah 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 blah. So we were like right in the forefront of that the music industry pivoting on streaming, and in the middle of a label offering us some, potentially at the time was life-changing opportunity. And
yeah,
not so much at that
but
time
even
money,
just
but
to be under
it was,
a label and like
it was
getting the opportunities.
exactly. It was like this could be the starting point of the rest of our lives, and it ended up falling through, and that really really hit heavy with my brother. And at the time, my brother was a tattoo artist. Like this was his first sleeve that he actually started when I was quite young. I was 18 when I first got it.
There's human canvas.
I was. And yeah, so he had a lot on the line. He like canceled a bunch of tattoo appointments, expecting that this label deal was going through, and like just so much that, at this time might have been a little premature, but he was just, we all wholeheartedly believed that was happening.
Okay. 2 feet in.
And exactly. And then it kind of hit him pretty hard, and that's when his kind of downward spiral began. And ultimately, within that 5-year span, when I first started, I turned 21 to 26 is when he ended up passing away. And it was mental health, addiction struggles, and I won't get too much into it, but a failed healthcare system as well. That took his hand when he reached for help, and then did not give him the help that he was expecting or needed. right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, that's a whole nother story. But
Yeah.
that ultimately was, as you could imagine, like he was my brother, my best friend, my roommate, my bandmate, was my world. And that's, words don't describe that realm of loss unless you have someone that close to you and you've lost them.
Mm-hmm.
You there's nothing that I can say that gives perspective, I feel, to how it felt and how it still feels. But what it did give me was perspective, was holy crap, like life and death is now real. And I just went, kind of took me a year to really like start understanding it. But within the first 2 months of his passing, I actually wrote a song that we're going to dive into a little bit more, I think, in a bit. But I wrote him a tribute song called We Lay a Brother Down. And I ended up sharing it on Facebook. And at that point, going back a little bit, a couple months before his passing, I ended up writing. I had started really picking up my guitar and again, which was years and years and years. I hadn't really sung or tried singing or tried writing at all. I was just drumming. And I ended up picking up the guitar, and within a few months before his passing, I had wrote, I think, 2 songs. And then that next song that I wrote was the tribute song for him. And at this point, like, I literally could barely play guitar and sing. Like, it was, we could clip in the clip that I shared it on Facebook, but like, I'm not confident in any way, but it was something that I was like, okay, I have to express myself. And I basically like turned the phone on. I wrote this song, and I turned the phone on. I put it on the coffee table. I like drugged the chair over to it. Like, there was no fancy lights. There was nothing. I had just woke up, like hoodie on, and like just, and I sung this song and shared it on Facebook, and this song kind of took off. And at the time, like, social media was pretty new. Like, I was sharing it on Facebook.
And for
right?
something
like,
to take off at that point,
yeah,
it was pretty phenomenal.
it was, you, a time at that point was like when videos were going viral on YouTube, everyone's like, oh, there's a viral video happening right now. Like, I remember Macklemore Thrift Shop. We were watching that video go viral. Like, the millions of views were so unheard of at that stage, right? And I didn't reach millions of views, but I reached a lot of people in the local realm. And within an hour, the Bear in Edmonton here got a hold of me and told me they shared the song that I shared on their page, as we connected over the years through the heavy rock metal scene with the Bear and the hosts.
Because they go out to all of the events and they cover all of the events.
Yeah, at the time it was Lachlan Cross, and he's the one who, we had a decent relationship over the years, and exactly hosts at festivals. And he knew me, he knew my brother, and he ended up sharing that song. And he then they messaged me on Facebook and told me they shared it, and it went from like just thousands and thousands and thousands of views happening. And I think it reached like 60,000 views, and thousands of shares. But I ended up going that night. They called me and said, hey, we shared this. Do you want to come down to the station and perform it live? And I'm like, at the time, again, I was like, I can barely sing and play. I have so much anxiety as soon as you say that. But yes, I have to.
Yeah.
And I went down. I was pacing the hallways. Years later, I actually met up with Lachlan again, and we talked about it. And, he mentioned the fact that they go to the radio, they sit in front of a mic every day. The comfort level is there. They're used to it. And to have someone that's not comfortable in the room with them is such a foreign thing for them. And they just remember me pacing the hallways, just so like scared and anxiety ridden. And I do this live interview. I sing the song live on air and just like nail it. And thousands, I'd say, maybe not thousands at the time, but hundreds that day, hundreds and hundreds of messages from complete strangers thanking me for that song. And it wasn't just, it wasn't like a song directly written to my brother in the sense of, other eyes. Like, it's a song for a loss of a loved one, right? and
People can
connect.
resonate to
Yeah,
that. Like it touches a lot of people, right?
exactly.
And the fact that you had the courage to even share that and like be able to articulate that in like a music form,
Right.
I'm sure it hit like a lot, it pulled on a lot of heartstrings.
Exactly. And that was, again, the talent that I possessed at that time. There's millions of other singers and writers that could out sing and play me. Like, I literally barely could play. But the transfer of emotion that I had in that video was what was so special. The wholehearted, it wasn't doing this for clout. It was clearly, I was just giving that out of me.
And it must have been very like performing something like that and also getting like the reception it did. Not only was it validating, but it was probably like somewhat of like a weight lifted off your chest of like, okay, I'm not doing like, I know that I'm still like novice in what I'm doing, but like this is definitely like the right. And like your brother telling you like you're born for this, it probably all kind of came full circle.
100%. As soon as I shared that, as soon as I seen it wasn't like, wow, the fame. That had nothing to do with it. It was holy
balls.
Like
Yeah.
the amount of people strangers that I just helped.
Yeah.
And how much it helped me
to get that out.
Was just immediate clarity of like, this is the most it pulled me the most that anything has ever pulled me towards. Like, it was the most clarity I'd ever felt towards something. Like, this is what I'm meant to be doing.
Right.
And after saying that, I took about a year off from life. I lived with him at the time. Like, there was so much happening.
Well, yeah, and even doing that, it was probably so like emotionally like, you know what I mean?
Like,
it's like to do anything else after that.
I couldn't function really very well for a whole year of like, when I wrote that and shared that was a month like after the funeral. Like, there was nothing, I didn't process anything yet. I didn't heal yet. I was literally in the tidal wave of surprise and shock still, So I took that year to really, I moved in with my mom and we both needed that. And I just really started honing in on myself, on the work that I needed to do. And that was going back to talking about my addiction with alcohol. That was at that point all I knew. So everyone that I hung out with after that, wanted to hang out and give me their heart and give me a hug, we would just go out and drink. And it got to a point where I think I continued drinking for, I'd say, probably another year after that. And I had a couple really close calls with death myself. I was on the doorstep. And for the one was, I went to White Ave and I was drinking with a good friend and ended up blacking out. And I came to in a t-shirt. It was minus 10, minus 15 degrees. And I was about an hour and a half away from where we were hanging out and drinking. And I came to out of that blackout, which I think saved my life, was my body going into survival mode. I was hyperthermic. My hands, my whole body was shaking. My teeth were clattering, and I felt it. I was in a ditch, like stumbling through a snowbank up onto the road, and I immediately knew I was going to freeze to death if I didn't get somewhere warm. I felt it. And I stopped the first car that was driving by. I waved them down. I ran in front of them, went to the window. I said, I know I look and seem like a crazy drunk person right now, because I am, but I need your help, please, to drive me somewhere warm because I'm about to freeze to death. And they said, holy crap. They opened the door. I jumped in. They drove me up the road to a Shoppers Drug Mart. I walked into the doors. A security guard saw how much I needed attention, and he asked if I was all right. He asked if I wanted I'm not sure if he asked about an ambulance or just like, do you need help?
Right.
And he ended up calling me a cab. And at that time I had moved all the way to Spruce Grove, which is about a 30 minute drive. And I cabbed all the way home, went to bed, went out the next night. did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't almost freeze to death, but I blacked out. I came to banging on an apartment door. They got mad at me, like, what are you doing? This isn't where you were. And that was it. I went home, and that was the end of my drinking. Every
Yeah.
weekend after that, as hard as it was not to go out, because at that point I was just chasing the social life, chasing girls and
And
escaping,
it was probably your way of grieving too.
grieving,
It was probably
escaping.
your
Yeah.
touch point for like addressing this, because addressing it as like when you were sober, it's just so immense amount of pain that it's like your body couldn't even
I didn't
like,
know at that point. I was 10 years into using alcohol to
yeah,
deal with any emotion.
right.
So at that point, I was like, exactly. That was
Walking
healing.
on, yeah,
That was grieving. That was
right.
how you do it.
Well, and and you said it in your mind
Quotation.
of like that was the only therapy that you kind of had.
Yeah. So I hit that wall though. At that whole last year, I knew I needed to stop or
Yeah.
slow down.
This ain't for
this
me.
ain't for me anymore. And that's when I started picking up the guitar again. And every night that all my friends were going out, all the weekends, I just stayed home and I started playing my guitar, writing songs, learning covers,
Mhm.
and now we're here. Like,
So, just going back a bit, so the band that you were in with your brother before his passing, it just disbanded.
yeah, so at that point, we did like a big celebration of life. I actually sung a couple songs at the time. My cousins that were eventually would join a new band with me. They were also in a band, like a heavy metal kind of band, and we sung together. I sung some songs, and he would scream. His name was Austin Shaw, and there was this vision of like, we could keep this going, in a different kind of way. Me taking the stage and behind the microphone, but after I wrote that tribute song, my calling just went so hard the other way to that acoustic guitar and to that world of writing, and that just the pivot. And I think as well, I think at the time I might have been running from that. It
Yeah,
was just so much, right? Like I
right,
couldn't drum for years because it triggered me, and it was
right.
just too much. And I think that was one of the reasons as well. But at the same time, like I truly felt in my heart, like prior to drumming, I always had that little vision in my mind of playing my guitar and singing in front of people, and that finally opened the door and showed me this is now it. This is your why.
So you're learning. So you're um, studying the guitar. You're learning. You're spending all of your spare time doing that. What did that pitch look like to start Cane Incognito?
So I spent about a year. I moved in with my mother. I tried healing. I was
Mhm.
healing. I quit drinking. And one of the things, and one of my dreams as a young child, I think it was given to me by the movie The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio and the incredible paradise visuals in that movie that made me want to travel and backpack when I was 18, 19.
Mhm.
But I ended up joining the band, and that kind of put all of those first, coming out of high school, the first, an adult goals that I had were to go traveling, but I put them
Right.
aside. And after I spent that year of kind of dealing and grieving and trying to heal and figure this all out, I ended up booking a backpacking trip. And it was basically 1 year after his passing. I booked the trip. I filled one backpack and I went to Costa Rica. I wanted to learn how to surf, and then I went up into Nicaragua. And I don't know if we have enough time to talk about all of that, but I ended up went to jail in Nicaragua, and
Okay. Was your
it was
going off of like the grief? Was your family, when you told them about this backtracking trip, was there any like concern, especially with your history with alcohol? Was there
no.
much like fear of you like going and doing something that and being alone on yourself? And
I ended up so my plan was to go alone, and at that point I'd never backpacked. I haven't really traveled to that extent in any way, but I ended up, a good friend of mine at the time ended up coming with me, so I think that might have
quelled the anxiety.
a bit from, maybe the parents had it. I'm not sure. Nothing was vocalized though. I think it was very aware that I needed to do something like that, and I vocalized it. Like I just needed change. I needed to see other culture. I knew it was part of the healing I needed to experience, and it was a moment, a very defining moment. Other than all the amazing sights and all the experiences, like I said, going to a Nicaraguan jail and scaring the absolute heck right out of me. But there was this one conversation I had with a complete stranger I met at a bar, and she asked me why I was traveling, and I gave her this dumbed down, oh, I just always wanted to travel, and she read right through my eyes and my the lies, really. Not so much lies, but yeah. And she said, no, why are you traveling? And I opened up. It was the first time I had ever opened up to a stranger like that, other than in that song that I shared. It was the first time I truly opened up with words. And I almost like saw red. I like blacked out, you could say. Just like I gave her everything that happened the last year and just my whole story. And I like kind of came to as the story kind of finished. And she like literally like wipes a tear and she's like, thank you. I'm like, whoa. Like, are you sure? That was a lot. Like I'd never,
like you don't want to, and without like, you like it, it's hard sharing that grief because you don't want to like give someone like an emotional burden or be like, I want you to feel this for me.
And it wasn't like, woe is me. It was just, I just explained what I was going through. And she's like, no, that was the most beautiful conversation I've had on my trip. Thank you. And I was like, wow. And we like ended up hugging and we went on our way. And then the next person that asked me on that trip, I was gone for 6 weeks, I think. The next person that asked me, I was like, the immediate reaction after that first conversation was something that, again, I had never experienced. That weight that I had, that lifted off me of just years of suppressed emotion. Like your body holds on to that in tension and weight. I just immediately felt this purge and like a weight lifting. It just was like, okay, next time that a random person asked me, same thing. I gave it, and it was, wow, thank you so much for that. And I was just like, this is crazy. Like we're told our whole lives, like as men, like
keep it to yourself.
And don't cry, shut up, keep going. You know? And it is one of the most unhealthy things from so many perspectives that you can do as a human. We all have feelings, we all have emotions, we all have energy that needs to go in and out of us.
But I think I want you to continue the story, but I think it's important to say too that it comes with the caveat of like, what is the intention behind it? Like, because I feel like I totally agree. My only thing with that is you see a lot of time that gets masked with like ulterior motives. Where like I'm trying to get the wrong feedback loop. And like the way you're sharing it, it's like that's the appropriate way of like expressing that. And because you see that, I think where this stigma comes from is like, well, what are you trying to like get out of this? Or like, are you trying to get people like, is the essence of telling this story trying to get people to feel bad? Or are you just answering a question that people asked and sharing that story? Right. And I think that's like a huge consideration that when people are sharing this of like, that's the way, like that it's handling that grief, but it's also like sharing it with the intention of like, I'm just sharing it to like, cause you want to know more about me. And through that, it comes with that benefit. Right.
I agree. Also though, like even just like leaving that topic, but just expressing yourself, talking, communicating. That is where so many things get left. And then you sit and you resent and there's just communicating what your truth is, whether it's tragedy, whether it's whatever,
in a non, you know, like manipulative way in any way.
Right.
Just speaking your truth.
Did you find that kind of communication skill was something that you had to learn over time?
I'd never done it before.
Right.
So that's why I felt like I did something wrong. I was
Right.
apologizing. She's like, no, like that
Right.
was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So that was that moment of that trip was such an eye opener to just expressing myself, because again, I'd never felt that. I never really expressed myself. I used alcohol to suppress it and mask it and just, everything's fine, right? But it sits with you in ways that, again, I don't think words really do justice. But
is this where this kind of informed like your songwriting journey, or this where it kind of started being able to like articulate that?
Exactly. So going before I leave this, the trip behind, the pivot. So that was the first moment of that trip. And then the next moment that really like, okay, this is it. I went to a place called the Treehouse in Nicaragua. And the Treehouse was basically exactly that, a treehouse in the middle of the Nicaraguan jungle. And we were going there as a hostel, and you literally load up into this like 4x4 and you travel across through this like jungle of Nicaragua, and you get to this lower sub part of this cliff, and you look up the side of this cliff, and there's this big tree house and a big tree with a tree house and all these like wooden bridges going into the jungle, and a bunch of little like shacks where you sleep in the hostel. And as we pull up, I hear this like acoustic live music happening in the distance. And I'm like, what is going on right now? Like, we are in the middle of the jungle. And we hike up this little trail and get up to this place. And the owner of this treehouse is literally playing a song on his guitar. And it was open mic night when we showed up. And I'm just like, holy crap, this is cool. Like, I'm in the middle of a jungle. There's live music. There's 50 people up here in this treehouse. And so the night goes on, and I knew in my whole being that I had to perform. And at this point, I had never performed in front of anyone.
Wow.
I had, other than drumming,
Right.
never performed with my vocals and my guitar other than the song I shared on Facebook and the radio performance. But I never performed other than like literally my mom and my brother playing my guitar in front of someone. And it took me probably way too many. At that point, I was allowing myself to have drinks on that trip, and like I didn't fully like cut out alcohol at that point, and
just using it more responsibly.
Yeah, I was just understanding why I was using it.
Right.
I think that is one of the biggest things, that you lose yourself in it when you're just using it. But I ended up, barely could speak and walk almost. And I end up playing and getting the courage to get up in front of, say, 50 people, all different walks of the earth, from different countries, from different, generations. And I had, at that point, written a couple more songs, learned a couple more covers, and I performed a couple songs at that point in front of people.
Of your own?
Of my own, and a couple covers. And I had the whole place singing with me, the whole place like dancing and moving.
And that's what it's about.
And that right there was the confirmation, after the whole year of dealing with everything, after sharing that song, that moment in the Nicaraguan jungle was the moment of clarity that I said to myself, this is what you're meant to do.
Yeah.
And I ended that trip a couple more weeks. A bunch of other things happened. But I went home, and that is where I proposed the idea of creating my own band, or creating my own project, Cane Incognito. And at that time, I was too scared to do it by myself. I was doing it either way, but in my head, it was like, this is going to be a lot easier to accomplish
if I can share the responsibility, like if I can have people come in, take the workload, and like the ideas.
Me,
yeah.
Right? Like if walking into a room of strangers,
if I have my buddies or my cousins or family,
exactly, just immediately took the brunt of it.
Yeah.
In the fear factor down a little bit. And so I proposed that idea to my cousins who were in the band as well at the time, their own project. my good friend Steve, and I was just like, this is what I'm doing. If you guys say yes, I actually came to the idea of like, if they don't,
I'm going to go this way.
I'm going to go this way. I'm going to move somewhere because I just needed change. I'm going to go to Vancouver or Toronto. And again, at that point, I was not ready to do anything other than play my guitar and like get better, because I was, but I just knew that's what I'm doing. And I knew if I do it, I can do it quicker than most, because I believe I just kind of delusional now at this point.
Yeah.
And
full steam ahead.
Full steam ahead. Like, this is happening, whatever it takes, I'm doing it. And at the same time, I just needed to.
Well, and this probably turned into like an outlet for you, like where this kind of was replacing the drinking.
Exactly. So
right.
You asked like, where did like articulating those feelings and stuff. Now that got to that point of like, anytime I was feeling whatever, and at that point a lot still, like I was still healing, I was still grieving, but I was understanding now how to express. And I just started writing, and I started creating songs, and some of them were absolutely terrible and some were really good. I go back to some of those lyrics and I'm like, wow, I can't believe
those came out of my mouth.
Like, I'm jealous of that guy. But it just sparked something in me that words don't do justice for, but just having absolute belief and absolute clarity in what I want in this life. And also, death is now real. Why would I do anything else? Why would I do anything that I don't want to do? Why would I be around people that don't fulfill me, that don't build me up? Why do we as people put up with that in this life? We just do because it's easy, it's comfortable, it's uncomfortable to have that conversation and end that, and we just get so complacent with what we truly desire in this life. And I feel that year and those years, I finally sat in my whole being, my mind, my soul, and I listened. And that's when the fear and the uncomfortable realm of things just didn't matter anymore. The petty drama is just like, none of it matters. And what I desire and what I want, whatever it takes, whether I make it or not, I'm going to enjoy doing it. Whether I, eventually, the goal would be to come out of this and be financially stable and maintain, the life of comfort with music. But like, if that happens or not, like, I'm just doing what I love doing. And it's truly all that matters. And
do you think it took, like, in order to like do this, like it took this, it seems like to me from hearing this, like you're starting to develop like a level of self-awareness where like you might have not had before, where like a lot of your emotions were projected outwards, where now you're able to finally sit in like your own self and say like, how am I feeling?
I finally listened.
Right.
I finally put the beer, the drinks down, the people. I was so
well, instead of relying on like this outside stimulus to like quote, it's like you were able to say like, oh, this doesn't really sit well with me. And like, I can tell that emotionally that like, I'm not feeling good. I just
started listening. Right? Yeah. Rather than like putting it off and drinking a beer. Not that I did that every day, but like, you just get so used to like not listening to your body, your intuition, your gut, your energy of people, right? Like, but yeah, like I grew up with four siblings at all times. We had one or two friends over, big family, lots of friends, girlfriends, my brother, all of their friends. Like, I was always around people, always doing
never had
things.
Alone time.
Never in my life until I was 26, 27 years old that I sit by myself, sit in my own mind.
Must have been really hard.
It was the hardest thing that I could imagine, especially because I did it after the loss of my other half, my brother. But I knew I had to. It all just this, whatever you want to call it, a spiritual awakening. It was something that just hit me. I just knew I had to.
You're like unlocking a whole nother skill tree. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I'm opening up like my third eye. Like, it's
100%. Like, it's the cuckoo.
Yeah.
There's all the words you can put
and
titles around it, but like that realm exists.
Yeah.
I dove headstrong into it and I felt it on every aspect, and it's honestly, it was really hard, and it's why I just have been full commitment to this music since, because like once you kind of open your third
your
eye
chakras
to everything happening and how society and how we all just function, it's just like it's so wrong.
Yeah.
And
so you get these guys together, you're starting Cane Incognito. What does that journey look like? And I kind of want to look into like how this kind of progressed, because you talk about this self-awareness, and it kind of like, it leads me to bring back to like, you kind of had to establish like your own journey in a way. And that kind of what brings me to like where Eric Kane is today, of like it seems like you were trying to follow other people's lead until you kind of like found your own. And then you were like, oh, like I actually really just need to be like following my own beat. So like, how did like Cane Incognito, how did like that inform like your decision making going forward? And like, without not brushing through that, I kind of want to know, like, how did that set the pace to decide, you know what, I'm just gonna brand myself?
So you nailed it. Like, I followed my whole life. I followed my brother, I followed my good friends. I just followed, and I never really carved my own path. When my brother passed, I knew I had to carve my own path. I knew it. I just, however I knew it, I had the feelings, and if I actually did at that moment of saying it like this, but I just knew the direction I needed to go, and that was through the most uncomfortable decisions and ending habits and all that. But I entered Cane Incognito using that and knowing that that was the direction I was going to take, my own path. And unfortunately, being so emotionally driven, and I wouldn't say unfortunately, but just how 5 years of that project went on, it really was not so much the demise, but the realization that I was also almost, again, masking my truth with the friends, and because it was easier to form the band rather than just doing it myself. And you know, a lot of bands are started with people that there's so many different ways music is created. A lot of it is through people that go through tragedy and have that outlet, and that is the emotional drive. Then there's the creative side, where a lot of artists are just creative and they want to create music with people, and that, I think, is when those bands really succeed, is when you have 4 people that want to create on a level, because we just want to create.
Well, then it's just the multiplying factor. Like, if everybody has the same intention, you put all these people in the room, it's like, boom, jetpack.
Exactly.
But if people don't have the same...
Exactly. So, like, not that we didn't have we all wanted to do, after we like, okay, this is happening. And it happened quick. Like, the idea came within the next year. We had offers to open up for bigger artists. And within 2-3 years, I was, you know, for example, within 4 years, I went from sitting on my couch writing the 3rd song I'd ever written, We Lay Your Brother Down, a tribute song for my brother. I could barely sing. I could barely play guitar. Fast forward 4 years, say, and I was opening for Sum 41 in front of 3,000 people.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's insane. You know, like, again, I think back to it. That is all carved from delusional belief in oneself, of literally not even having the talent, to just doing it, just acting on it, and
manifestation,
all of it.
Yeah,
and it's just doing it. Right?
Yeah.
Like, again, just saying yes rather than trying to build the path before you say yes. It's just yes, and then everything else follows if you have that belief.
Do it now, talk about it later.
Yeah. And so having that such drive and really steering the bus was, I think, harder for my cousins and my bandmate too, because it wasn't what they kind of envisioned. And that was where the kind of the creative heads were butting a little bit. And again, no hard feelings at this point. It was one of the most incredible 5 years of my life. It was one of the most important moments of my life. And those family members, my friend Steve, they saved my life. Like that whole process. But at the end of the day, I think it was pulling me away still from my truth.
Because you almost want to like appeal towards everybody in the group and be like, I want to make sure that I'm creating something that everybody's okay with, not something I know that I need to. And like, then that kind of, in a way, it kind of diminishes like the amount of energy you're putting into these projects, because in essence you're going, well, now I'm sharing it. It's 33% him. It's 33% him. It's 30. And if I had it up to myself, I would have been doing this, but I got to make sure to keep these guys kind of fueled.
Yeah, exactly. I needed to give them an outlet as well. Because I needed everything I was doing. I needed it to stay, potentially off the bottle, but I never was really thinking that way. But like, it was just driving me to not lose my absolute mind.
Yeah.
I just lost my brother, right? Like it was the driving force on top of like honing in on my health to just keep going. And unfortunately, that limited the band's participation in ways, because it's like I needed more.
The requirements were a little bit more, and then it's like, to give someone that expectation is like almost not fair to them. It's like, I can't, because it's like the saying I always like hear when I watch like motivational stuff, where it's like, if you were thinking what I was thinking, you would be up this early too. If you were thinking what I was thinking, you'd be right on board.
Yes.
But you're not, and that's okay.
It's totally okay, right? But what was not okay was us sitting in that and trying to make it work while we were all
you're just like driving your head.
And again, it was nothing like it wasn't bad in any way. It was just again, the communication side. We didn't communicate for the last year. On top of it, COVID came in. That was that was like
example,
the nail. 2019, we opened up for Sum 41. So again, from 2016. 3 years. 2016 was when I started the band. 2019, we opened up for Sum 41. So 3 years. And then COVID hits beginning of 2020. We spend the whole year. I actually started, again, going into when I first started performing solo. The summer of 2020, I was like, what am I going to do? Like, music, the whole world's shut down. How do I get through this? Because I'm still losing my mind if I don't, And I saw an artist, his name is Martin Kerr, started playing. This one weekend, he played 8 street concerts in front of people, while like people were like sitting on their balconies. He'd drive up and play on the street and like pull up into a cul-de-sac, and they'd run an extension cord and he'd play, and all the people would sit in their driveways and listen. And I was like, I have to do that. I've never done that now. I've played, maybe
it's a cool concept.
It was amazing. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
And we got to this, I got to this point of just knowing I needed to do it. And I actually went to one of the shows. I literally like brought a notepad, and I was like, again, because I'd never performed by myself at that point, other than in the treehouse in Nicaragua, and everything else was that band now.
This was all fresh. And doing it by yourself.
Doing it by yourself is a completely different.
Because you're probably thinking to yourself like, shit, was there something that they came with that I don't have? Like, do I know what's going on? Do I have everything? Like,
well, one of the biggest things is, if you ever witnessed one of our shows, is I talk a lot, and I was told to not talk in the years. It's like, that's not why people are here, but that's why I'm here. This is all part of. It's not just for them.
It's a shared experience.
It's a shared experience. And I was like, I need to have these moments between songs where I speak of the song, where I speak these moments. And the band, we ended up creating this really special type of set where they would create this universe between each song that tied into that song, where I would speak and talk about that story. And I knew that was the same type of show that I wanted to carry on. But now I have to create that universe myself. So that's where these shows and these street concerts really made me a better performer, made me more confident, because now I had to start playing my guitar, creating the sonic realm and universe, and the platform for the story and the message to sit on, right? And it just made me it was probably not very good the first 2 times. Like the first one I tried, I played at my mom's Mother's Day gathering. There was like 5 of us, but I was like, oh my God, how do I do this? And I ended up playing like 40 or 50 of these concerts in the first summer, 2020, of the whole COVID experience. And the amount of confidence, the amount of inner peace, the amount of like, again, going back to clarity on my why of being vulnerable, being open with what I'm going through and communicating that via songwriting and the music, that I went fully back to. I felt it, and the calling was there again. This is your why.
Right.
This is your why. Not the rock and roll solos and fame. This is your why. And I voiced that 1 year after into the COVID experience with my band. And at that point, my band was also kind of sitting in their own minds and resentment. Eric's out playing, and like we just finally all sat down in end of 2021. And we at that point released the whole album. We recorded in COVID. Meanwhile, while I was doing all those solo shows, we recorded my album called Eyes Wide Open. That song, Eyes Wide Open, ended up going across national radio across the country. It was like the biggest song at that point that we'd released. And we still knew, and in my mind at least, I was like, if this song takes off, let's go with it. But if it doesn't, I have to go the other way. And it didn't. COVID, more restrictions came in. The boys ended up voicing their opinions, and finally we're like, this is how I feel. And we all kind of just were like, I think it's time. I have to do this, and you guys do whatever you need to do.
Did you, at any point, did you have a conversation that you offered them a more behind the scenes role?
100%.
Yeah.
It was like this, again, going back to my emotionally driven side, like I have to do these things. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I have to write these things to this extent. I have to. And again, it was like, how many songs have you written in the first year of COVID when everyone's sitting at home and there's kind of crickets, at least that they shared. And then it's like, I have 30 that I just wrote, right? Like I'm always working. So I'm always putting things together. I'm always just really, at that point, just was really, really honed in and just forcing that, again, the delusional disbelief and trying to back it with the hustle. So yeah, I maybe kind of fell off
no
where we were going there, but like
no and so and it's good that you're saying that, because it informs people that are watching, especially people that are musically inclined. Like, you got to get those reps in. Like, you have to get that feedback of like what works, what doesn't. I had this, I had some hecklers here, I had this, I had that, this equipment worked, this didn't, this kind of music worked. So then when you're like creating this, you're just kneading the dough, right? Like you're just consistently, but I think a lot of people, like what people put on the outward isn't necessarily what people see. And it's like a lot of times it looks like an overnight success, or it looks like, how did you get from here to here? And people aren't necessarily recognizing like it is that like day in, day out, putting those reps in, making yourself uncomfortable, and like, and knowing it's not all gonna hit.
No.
And I think that's a big thing where like you have to be okay with going into that being like, this might be a little choppy, and like I just have to survive the storm.
Yeah.
And then we just come back to the drawing board and figure it out, right?
Exactly. Even to this, like a couple days ago, booking, I'm doing all my booking and everything, and I'm still getting like, no, sorry, like it's not the right fit.
And it's like, well, it's a no for now.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Cool.
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna keep going this way and find the right fit.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to like the band side of it, it was a learning experience, I think, for all of us. And at the end of the day, it was just, I needed more out of it in a certain way, which was my truth, compared to, again, what they needed was an outlet for their creativity, right? They're incredibly talented. My cousins have been playing drums and guitars since they were like 5, like just amazing.
So what did you do with the catalog? Did you take any songs onto your own catalog, or did the whole catalog stay with Cane Incognito?
So that was also, so once we decided to like disband, that alone was the hardest choice. Like, again, like I knew I needed to. I knew after that conversation we all had, it was like, this is what has to happen in order for me to stop brushing my feelings under the rugs, and all of us, we have to separate. Now, how do I separate? Do I separate and just rebrand the Cane Incognito stuff and rename it and just put Eric Kane on all the songs? At the end of the
Did
day,
that feel like
almost
like you're kind of like given
was,
basically like, I'm just gonna take all the ownership, basically fuck you?
Well, not so much like that, but it was just like it was not
just you.
It wasn't just me. Cane Incognito was it what it is what it was.
Yeah, you didn't want to diminish the accomplishments of that band.
Right. And like they are some of the reasons why I believe I'm alive still.
Mm-hmm.
That project, those years, shaped who I am now, the confidence I have in so many ways. So I felt like, again, at first it was like branding wise and the marketing wise, like it seemed the easiest to just slap my name on it, and it was just like that would make sense on the number side of things.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's not why I'm here. That's
right.
not what I'm doing. It is all part of it now, but like I knew I just had to start the clean slate as Eric Kane, as my authentic truth, and that's where the solo side was born.
So now in that, did you have to have a conversation with yourself of like, am I making the same music? Does the music change? Who do I have to collaborate with? Who do I not?
Yeah. So then then you open up exactly yourself. Again, going back to Cane Incognito, that was for the most part every one of those songs I wrote. Mm-hmm. So it was still me, and then we added all of their instrumental and their creative to change tempos and add their uniqueness to it, which is why they are the way they are. But like for the most part, 99% of those songs started with me and my guitar on my bed. Mm-hmm. So like that's still me. That was still coming from an authentic place, right? But it was how do now I want to come across, because there's a lot of artists that hi buddy. There's a lot of artists that stay in a box of sonic. For example, like Dermot Kennedy. You mm-hmm. listen to all his songs. It's a very haunting, poetic, a minor on the musical spectrum. It's this daunting, kind of haunting vibe.
Right.
And he has maybe one or two songs that leave that, and it's like, whoa, this doesn't really
yeah, you lose your identity as an artist almost of like, no, that's not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's not you.
It's like Adam Sandler doing anything but an Adam Sandler movie.
Right. But he's really good, like going to like watching Click, for example.
Right.
That was like one of his. It's a serious movie. I think I cried in that movie.
Yeah.
It's like it's not Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
But he's really good at it. But it was kind of fell off at first.
Yeah.
But the more he does it, he's like, yeah, he is really talented. He's really,
uncut gems.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, but how you brand it, the initial. If Dermot Kennedy first released 10 songs, and 5 of them were haunting and 5 of them were a little more upbeat,
then the audience knows what to expect.
That's Dermot Kennedy.
Yeah.
We all have highs and lows. We all have the yin, the yang, the shadows, the light, the beauty, the love, everything in between. And that was one of the battles in my head. It's like, I'm really good at writing, again, if you've been on the social media side, mm-hmm. sad songs.
Right.
That's where it started. I had nothing else to give other than sad songs. Because
right.
I was going through the worst 5 years of my life.
Right.
But I started healing. I started writing on a more positive side. I started understanding that how everything works, and the uplifting side, the bloom after the battle. Like there's everything in between. And why would I limit myself as a creative in that box of just sad songs when I have this other spectrum to give?
Do you think that took almost a lived-in experience to feel that way, though?
Oh, 100%.
Like, the only reason you were able to make that type of music now is simply because you were able to go on your own healing journey.
Yes. Yeah. Like,
Because theoretically,
again,
if you didn't, you would just be writing the same.
I would still, if I didn't go on that journey of healing and understanding my mind and going through it all, I would still be writing sad songs. I would, or maybe trying to write. And it goes the other way, right? Like if you haven't had tragedy or
you're always writing upbeat.
You're writing upbeat, but it's like, oh, I'd like to write something like that. And it comes from
you don't even,
not an authentic place.
Yeah.
Right?
How do you stay like ground? Yeah. It's like, how do you stay grounded in that music and keep it like, still like emotionally like
yours.
There? Yeah.
Because again, like that was one of the battles I had with Cane Incognito is like, I started writing from that vulnerable place. The first thing I ever shared was the most vulnerable I had ever been. And the love and reciprocation that got was, just monumental and like holy, like that's but then I started chasing other people's perspectives and other people's creative sides and being inspired from like Kaleo at the time, and it just started pulling me away from my why,
right?
But I'm like, it's working. Like we just went from 0 to hero in 3 years. Like why not? Like it's fun, I'm with my family, I'm with my friends, but at the end of the day I was still brushing those feelings.
There was something missing.
So going back to the question, did you have to have that conversation with yourself? How does rebranding Eric Kane look? That was the hardest decision, and like at the end of the day the easiest one. I just spent the whole 10 years up to this point answering it.
Right.
Be authentic. Doesn't matter what the song sounds like. If it is what you're feeling and if it is you, that's what you release. So now I have this, catalog of some of the saddest songs you probably could hear to some of the most uplifting, upbeat, water my soul.
That's what I was just going to say. And like, I kind of want to, now that you're doing your own touring, you're doing your own booking, take me through your experience of the Water My Soul tour. It's still going on.
It's technically...
Well, it's coming to an end now in Edmonton. This is the last
Thursday,
show.
A couple days is the last show. It's been an amazing couple months. It's been an amazing journey to release that song, to be able to create that song. And like again, like where it even came from was pursuing this delusional dream of mine. And after the rebranding and going to Eric Kane, I had to start from zero again. And that was one of the hardest things, and the realization of I had to do it all again. But I knew kind of what to do and what not to do. But that meant my Spotify followers, that meant my Instagram, everything. So I started rebuilding, and then quickly realized that I also had to start rebuilding everywhere else and or going other places, because I never really toured that much with Cane Incognito, but I know I was oversaturating Edmonton with my music and myself. On top of it, I released my debut EP, didn't have money to record more, so I was like, I got to just start promoting my old music to new audiences, because then I can tour there and it's new to them. So I started pushing down into Calgary more, and then just a little couple one-off tours and shows outside of Edmonton. And then I ended up selling my first show out in Calgary, and went and booked the next show. I think it was Vancouver and Victoria, but I finally felt this. Now the hard work that I just put in again started paying off. And to sell any tickets, let alone in your home city, outside of your hometown, was just such a feat of like, okay, what I'm doing is working. There's people that are resonating. There's people that are listening. There's people literally buying tickets and showing up. And I sold 2 nights out, 50 little intimate spaces, 50 people the first night, 50 people the second night, back to back. And I was like, holy crap.
Did that start from like COVID, doing all of these pop-up shows and stuff? You kind of knew, I can really do this anywhere.
Well, again, good point. I started, so with Cane Incognito, I tried one Western Canada tour push. And I played in all these bars and all these places that I'm like, my music, again, the stories, the intimate moments, it's not a concert for a room full of people drinking. It's a concert and an experience that you have to be there, sitting and listening. So I started performing a couple shows in theaters. Again, Martin Kerr doing it in Edmonton. I was very inspired. I ended up messaging him actually. Hey, are you able to have or wanting an opener for this theater show that he was doing? And he's like, I'm not looking for any openers. I was like, well, rats. Okay.
Yeah.
The next day, again, he said, I just posted a video. I went and watched it. He said, if you want the opportunity to open up for me, cover my song, You're Amazing. And I'm like, that was brilliant. So he had a bunch of people covering his song.
To get the engagement.
To engage, and then the best one
got to open.
Gets the opportunity to open up for a sold-out show in this theater. I formed at the time in the band, I'm like, yo, we are going to cover his song. We end up covering it. We post it. They call us. You guys win. It's, again, the full band vibe to him solo. Break the set down. We like really unplugged acoustic kind of vibe. And we open up and perform in front of, I think, 500 plus people at the theater in St. Albert. And I'm like, this is it. This is where I have to have these types of rooms.
Right.
But it's going to take a little while to get to theater 500 cap rooms everywhere, right?
Right.
So fast forward, disband, COVID, I start playing all these street concerts. Again, inspired by Martin Kerr. But I realized now, going back when the world turns back on and I go to a couple of venues and I'm playing these breweries and restaurants.
And coffee shops.
Well, prior to that, I'm playing in a bunch of these rooms that people are not listening still. And I'm like, again, this is amazing. I'm playing my guitar and I'm getting a couple $100, but I'm like, I'm not A, making enough, and B, this isn't where I should be playing, or at least it's not the audience I should be playing to. So I ended up playing one show in Vermilion, Alberta.
Okay.
And they helped promote a show. The same thing, brought the little speaker set up, just me and my guitar, the little speaker in this beautiful little cafe called the Red Brick in Vermilion. And we situated the whole room like a little mini theater, had about 50 people in there. And it was one of my favorite shows at that point to date, because it was just me. Everyone in the room was silent. It was like this little mini theater experience. I left that show and I'm just like, I couldn't do that anywhere.
I remember seeing you did a social media post once. I'm not sure what it was, but you were talking about like the vibe of doing some of those smaller shows.
Right.
And you were like, it just like lights me. Like you were like, that's the energy, like the intimacy.
I can look you in the eyes and like literally see you tear up if you're tearing up, or the joy from certain songs. I can feel it. I can see the reciprocation. And rather than like, say I played to 20 people, rather than 20 people enjoying it, and then there's another 20 people there just like drinking and partying.
And smashing burgers and this and that. And you're like, it's not.
Chatting and socializing. So it's like, I'd rather play to 10 people
that are actually watching.
Literally watching and listening than 100 people and 10 are watching.
Yeah.
So that was the realization, on top of like going to other venues and them paying me like $100. I'm like, if I bring 100 people here, for the most part, I should be getting 100 people's worth of ticket money. Like that's my fan base.
Yeah.
Obvious, percentage split ways with venues for hosting and all that, but like I should be the one dictating how this goes. Like, because I can literally, if I can bring 10 to 100 people to the street,
then I could bring them.
Then I can literally bring them anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's where I just started finding and reaching out and making posts on TikTok. I'm doing these intimate concerts all across Western Canada. If you like small towns, off the beaten path, like wherever, and anyone that wants music in a small, intimate, unique space, let's make it happen. And I built my first tour this beginning of this year in that method. and sold 20 shows out. It was like, I think 19 of 20 sold. I sold 1,200 tickets. Like, it was life-changing. And
yeah, and not only is it benefit to like the actual music itself, on like the engagement side, you're probably getting way better like retention of like you're
my
creating
message is
like
coming across.
right, yeah, and you're getting like a lot more people that are coming like specifically for you and the music and the
For that message, for
Yeah,
that experience.
exactly.
They're able to experience it, which then, again, when you're trying to experience that and you got a bunch of people blabbing and
It ruins it for them.
It's ruining it. So they're not fully getting what I'm trying to give or create.
Right.
And when I have a room that is able to fully experience it, I have the majority of that room leaving a fan, closer connected to me than if we did it the other way, and leaving their email. And I started passing a journal around. I don't know if you.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know it's working now because people are like, "Where's the journal? Give me it." Like,
Right.
I didn't get to write
People
it.
are following along. You can tell that it's something that like people just didn't find this out of nowhere. And even if there is one person that or a handful of people that did, it's like, come on in.
Well, that's it. So that goes to my other point of like, okay, now how do you get these people into these rooms? Because again, a lot of people and artists across Canada have literally messaged me after that first Leave It All Behind tour. How are you finding these venues? How are you selling these places out?
By messaging them.
So, well, again, through experience, through grind,
Yeah.
through the knowledge I've built from the relentless delusional belief of this all.
And the creativity.
And the creativity. So, again, going back to the first tour I did, say the beginning of 2024, I knew I wanted to tour. I got out to Calgary. I sold a couple of those shows out. I guess we kind of went off track with the Water My
That's
Soul.
all right.
But hey.
That's all right.
But then I went all the way to Victoria. It was the first time I'd ever been to Victoria, and I played to 5 people. And I was like, well, damn. That was amazing. The show was great, but I'm like, I just spent
X amount of dollars
to get across on the ferry. Like, that doesn't make sense. Next time I go there, I got to figure something else out. The next time I went, I played to a sold out room of 75 people. And that was the realization. If I want to play in front of people, especially in markets that I have a very small fan base, I have to market myself. And that is where I have to either make 1 million videos marketing myself to that place and hope that they catch some traction, or create some ads and run them in that place.
Right.
And that's what that was the realization. You want to make $1,000, spend 200, spend 300, spend 500 to make 500.
Yeah.
Or else you're not going to make the 500.
Yeah.
Or you're not going to have a room full of people like I did in every small town and 4-way stop across Western Canada.
Right.
It was all the same method.
Well, and now, even like you touching these smaller spots, it's like that's a lot of places that many artists aren't going to. So it's like you're not only hitting these spots and making like an intimate, like very connected space. You're also probably hitting a super untouched, tapped area that it's like these people have probably been waiting.
They're dying for live music.
These people have been waiting.
In Nanton, Alberta.
Yeah.
Right? And that was exactly the realization as well. And why did I start playing those places? Well, it's because I've tried for 10 plus years to get in all these mainstream venues.
And it just didn't hit.
It did here and there.
Yeah.
But I made $100. And it's like, and it also, I had to plan 8 months in advance to get there. It's like, independent artist, man, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Like I don't have an agent. I don't have a whole team that's building the whole year out. Like I'm just like on the fly, like, So that's where I was like, I'm done chasing the system. The system is in place for the big wigs and the agents and the labels to all make the money and dictate how it all works. And I'm just like, I've just spent the last 10 years playing that game. I'm done playing the game.
Yeah.
I'm going to find the loophole. And the loophole is there's 1 million little mini markets outside of those main cities and places that would absolutely love for me to bring 50 people into a cafe. That cafe I make my ticket money. They make the drinks, and whether a small percentage of the tickets, whatever, but they leave happy because on a Wednesday night they probably wouldn't have had 50 people in there. That probably just paid their rent. Also, they're probably obviously bringing music in. They loved the show, and it's just this whole circle of people that are just like really like, just, what's the word, I don't know, they just love it. Like, they're well received, and just not like this jaded, broken music industry.
Right.
That's just another cog in the machine. Like, it's just open this whole.
You're using your platform. Like, it's like a rising tide makes all ships float, right? Like,
Right,
it's
exactly.
like you're not only bringing like yourself up, but it's like you're propping them up. The
Exactly.
viewers, like the people coming in this town, they get a great experience.
Yeah.
The people, like, it's like this full circle thing. And going into that, we're now at like a full circle thing with like the re-release of this single.
Right.
And
We'll tie it in firstly to the original question of Water My Soul.
yeah,
It was the last two tours. So Leave It All Behind tour was my first method of that madness. And again, 19 to 20 shows sold out. The other one was basically sold out, really. And then doing the same thing for the release of Water My Soul. And again, that song was born off that feeling of first breaking out of that main local area of Edmonton that I am, seeing the reciprocation and the people really understanding what my message was, buying tickets, that allowing me to start pursuing now my, again, delusional, crazy dream that I'm living. And then the feeling of gratitude, that wave of gratitude that fell upon me after that. I was driving through the Rockies and I was just like, I've made it. Like, if I'm doing this and living this life, like, yeah, there's a lot more steps to climb that I want to climb and create, but I'm living the dream right now. I'm doing what I love, and it's being reciprocated, and it is just a full watering my soul experience. That's where the song was born, and it's just it was a paying tribute to those moments and the passions and the people that just fuel your heart, your soul. And I think I feel I nailed it. The vibe of the
For
song.
sure.
And then on top to, the Water My Soul tour was a little harder to promote in the summer, to get people indoors in the summer. And we sold almost half of it out, which again,
it's
incredible.
still an amazing feat. Yeah.
Absolutely. The song itself hit 80, just broke 80,000 streams, which my most streamed song prior to that was 44,000 in 3 years.
Right.
This is 82,000 almost in 6 weeks.
6 weeks. Yeah.
So it's the movement, and that it's happening in the sense of, I shouldn't say movement, but like,
But it's picking up,
there's
it's snowballing, right?
Momentum is
Yeah.
is happening. And then so that comes to this next release, which is a 10-year journey to right here, right now, talking on this microphone, telling you this whole story, and going back to that first song I wrote for my brother, which is We Lay a Brother Down. And this year was the official 10-year mark. 2015, January 15th was his anniversary to his death. And I've really sat in all of what we just went through time and time again, and really just trying to understand and to pay tribute to how much I've been through, and to be grateful for it all and understand it all. But I felt like the full circle moment was to go back to that original song and re-release it, because I did end up releasing it with my band, but it wasn't, that whole truth and authentic feeling that I felt I needed to revisit. And so yeah, we are re-releasing, revisiting We Lay a Brother Down, and releasing it this August 29th. And it's going to kind of really, again, full circle, wrap the whole 10-year process up, and just kind of turn another page in this journey. And I'm excited to give it, again, it's another one of those, like, it's not like the big hit single like Water My Soul I feel it can be, but it is just something that I know I need to do from a creative and
well, and I think
creative
too,
side.
it's also to give like legacy to your brother, right? As well as
100%.
right, and like continuing that on, I think that it's just as important in that way to kind of remember and know where like this all began.
Exactly.
From a phone call and your brother saying, hey, you're gonna do this, right?
100%.
It's like
and you saw how, again, going back to the beginning of this podcast, like just talking about it brings me to tears.
Yeah.
It is the driving factor of who I am today. And a lot of people ask or say like, oh, it's a beautiful thing that you still talk about your brother, pay tribute to your brother, but I wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be who I am today
if it wasn't
for my brother and how he had that delusional belief in me before I even did.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's really amazing that you were able to find that purpose as well as be able to find that pivot, because I think a lot of people don't. And that's that's something that you should, sit with, that like you had the courage and you had the ability to have that introspectiveness, right? And by taking that and using that to create impactful music as well as like change the lives of everybody listening to your music, that's something that you're able to sit with, knowing like this is your purpose, right? So
you're bringing me to tears.
But I want to thank you very much for coming on. And what do we have next for you? Do we have of course. No, what do you have any tours or anything in mind that you have in the works right now?
Yeah, I'm full steam ahead still.
Yeah.
Before we move, I want to tell one little story.
Of course.
About this song, We Lay Brother Down, and where even going before my brother passed and before his passing inspired the song. Like I mentioned, I'd written a couple songs within the 6-month period before he passed. And the girlfriend I was seeing at the time ended up buying me this leather covered book that I had filled up a little like notebook that I had from, I think, my trade school at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And this leather book had a couple pages that I had written in it already, and I had wrote, I think, the one song outside of a couple covers that I put lyrics in. And it was really special to me. And when I lived with my brother, it just disappeared at one point.
Mm.
And I knew my brother put it somewhere. And I was just like so mad at him. I'm like, where did this book go? And I wasn't sure. I don't know if it was like on purpose or if it was in one of his, it was drinking or like misplaced in a like not a malicious way or anything, but I knew he was the reason why it was misplaced. And it was probably a good year. The book was gone. I thought he burned it in our fireplace or something. And he ends up passing away. And we all, as a group and a family and a circle of friends, we were all meeting at our house. And we had this like sunken living room area where the couches were, and it was like a level above. There was a table and a ledge. And I was sitting and leaning on this ledge, and we were all having this meeting on what we were going to do next to move me out of there, to get all of our band stuff out of there. And as we were talking, I looked down, and when my brother passed, just for clarity, I was out of town working my first job that I got as a journeyman pipe fitter.
Mm-hmm.
I finished my trade schooling, and I went out of town to Bonnyville actually. And I got the phone call that he passed away, and I came back home. Now I was gone for a couple weeks. When I got back home, this is now fast forward to us in this little meeting. I'm leaning up upon the ledge, and I look down as we're talking, and I see that black leather book on the side table beside the couch. And I'm just like, everyone's talking, and I just like zone in on it. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck?
And I walk down through everyone, and everyone's kind of like mid-conversation, like, what are you doing? And I pick this book up, and it is literally covered in dust, like it was sitting there for the last year. And I'm like, it's my living room. I know it wasn't. And I'm just like looking at it like, what the fuck is this doing here? And I start in like absolute like shock and disbelief.
to make sure it was the same book, I flipped through it. There's like 2-3 pages of me writing, and like the 4th page I flip open, my brother wrote in it, Eric Kane, my brother's next amazing song. Close it. It was, I still do not understand all of it, but the next song I wrote was the tribute song for my brother that ended up going viral, that started this whole journey. And fast forward at 10 years, we're paying tribute and re-releasing it and hoping it can hit home and be something that can bring healing and bring perspective to someone that's also going through grief and going through loss, and just know that so many of us are going through it. So many of us go through ups and downs and loss like that in life. But if you just, keep going and pay tribute to the ones that you love, there's just so much beauty on the other side. And I think that's really what this song is, and revisiting it is paying tribute to, is all of that. This last 10 years and everything in between, the loss and the love and the light.
That's amazing. I think that is such a great way to end this conversation. I think that really hits home. It really puts a nice bow on, and I want the audience to be able to sit with that and sit with that advice that you've given us today.
Well, thank you for having the conversation. And if anyone that's to bring it out of the emotional realm of it all, I have lots of music coming out. I'm in the middle of booking more in the fall, and hopefully have a fall tour to announce pretty soon. And just
where can people find you on social media?
Eric Kane, ERICKANE _ on all platforms for the most part.
Amazing. And your newest song, Water My Soul.
Yeah, Water My Soul is
and
out
then
on all
probably
platforms.
after this drops, probably a day after your new song, your re-release of Lay My Brother Down.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me, man.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. That has been episode 53 of Solo Spotlight. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to someone that needs this conversation. With that, see you next week.